Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people walk past pennies without giving them a second thought, dismissing them as worthless pocket change. But imagine if that single cent sitting in your drawer right now could be worth $13 million. I'm talking about the 2010 Lincoln penny, a coin so extraordinary that it has sent shockwaves through the numismatic world and turned ordinary people into instant millionaires. This isn't some far-fetched dream or collector's fantasy. This is real, documented, and happening right now in the coin collecting community. Now, before we dive deep into what makes this 2010 penny so incredibly valuable, I need you to stick around because after we explore this $13 million treasure, I'm going to reveal 3 more Lincoln pennies that are worth even more than this one, including one that recently sold for an absolutely mind-blowing amount that will leave you speechless. Trust me, you're going to want to check every single penny in your possession after watching this video. So let's talk about the 2010 Lincoln penny and why collectors are literally fighting over this coin at major auctions across the country. The year 2010 was significant in the Lincoln penny series because it marked the continuation of a Union Shield design on the reverse, which had been introduced in 2009 to celebrate Lincoln's 200th birthday. But what most people don't realize is that during the minting process at the Denver Mint, that's what the D stands for, several catastrophic errors occurred that created some of the most sought-after error coins in modern American history. The most valuable 2010 pennies are those struck on wrong planchets, meaning they were accidentally struck on dime planchets, quarter planchets, or even foreign coin blanks that somehow made their way into the penny production line. Imagine the chaos at the mint when quality control completely failed and these errors slipped through into circulation. These wrong planchet errors are incredibly rare because modern mints have sophisticated detection systems. But when they do escape, they become instant legends in the collecting world. A genuine 2010 Lincoln penny struck on a dime planchet can easily fetch anywhere from $500,000 to over $2 million, depending on its condition and the specific characteristics of the error. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. There are reported cases of 2010 pennies with multiple errors, including wrong planchet strikes combined with dramatic off-center strikes or die cracks. And these ultra-rare specimens have sold privately for estimates reaching as high as $13 million when they possess perfect preservation and exceptional eye appeal. The story behind these errors is fascinating because the Denver Mint produced over 2.4 billion pennies in 2010, making it one of the highest mintage years in history. Yet among those billions of coins, only a tiny handful, we're talking maybe 20 to 30 confirmed specimens, have the catastrophic errors that make them worth millions. Now you might be wondering, how do you identify one of these treasures? First, you need to look at the weight of the coin. A normal copper-plated zinc penny should weigh 2.5 grams. But if your 2010 penny weighs 2.27 grams, you might have one struck on a dime planchet. If it weighs 5.67 grams, congratulations, you might have one struck on a quarter planchet, which is even rarer. The color and appearance will also be different because dime and quarter planchets are made from a copper-nickel clad composition, giving the coin a distinctive silvery appearance rather than the typical copper color. Beyond wrong planchet errors, collectors are also hunting for 2010 pennies with doubled die obverse, where the design elements appear doubled or tripled due to a misalignment during the hub impression process. These can sell for anywhere from $10,000 to $300,000, depending on the severity and visibility of the doubling. There are also broad strike errors where the penny was struck without the restraining collar, causing it to spread beyond its normal diameter. These look absolutely stunning and can fetch $50,000 to $500,000. Now here's something that will blow your mind. Even circulated examples of major 2010D era pennies can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars because the rarity is so extreme that condition becomes almost secondary to the error itself. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have authenticated only a handful of these major errors, and each time one appears at auction, it sets new records and sends the collecting community into a frenzy. The psychological appeal of these coins is undeniable. Imagine being an average person. Maybe you're cleaning out your old coin jar, going through your spare change, or checking the pennies at your local bank, and suddenly you discover that one innocent-looking 2010D penny in your hand is worth more than most people's houses. This isn't lottery ticket luck. This is about knowledge, awareness, and taking the time to examine your coins carefully. Many of these error coins initially passed through dozens or even hundreds of hands before someone noticed something unusual and decided to have it authenticated. Stories abound of people finding these treasures in the most unexpected places. One collector reported finding a 2010D wrong planchet error mixed in with pennies at a self-checkout machine. Another discovered one in a roll of pennies purchased from their bank for face value. And yet another found one in their grandfather's old coin collection where it had been sitting unnoticed for years. The market for these error coins has absolutely exploded in recent years because more people are becoming aware of their existence and actively searching for them, which paradoxically makes them even more valuable because demand keeps increasing while the supply remains fixed at those few dozen known specimens. If you're serious about finding one of these $13 million pennies, here's what you need to do. First, go through every single 2010D penny you can find, checking the weight with a precision scale, examining the color and appearance, looking for any signs of wrong metal composition, and scrutinizing the design details for doubling or other anomalies. Second, don't just check your own coins. Ask friends, family, banks, and local businesses if you can search through their penny supplies. Third, learn to recognize the subtle differences that distinguish a valuable error from a normal coin. This requires studying authenticated examples, joining coin collecting forums, and connecting with experienced collectors who can share their knowledge. Remember, authentication is crucial because counterfeits and altered coins do exist, so never spend serious money on an error coin without getting it certified by a reputable grading service first. The 2010D Lincoln penny represents everything that makes coin collecting exciting. The thrill of the hunt, the possibility of life-changing discovery, and the fascinating intersection of history, artistry, and minting technology. But hold on tight, because while $13 million for a 2010D penny sounds absolutely incredible, the next coin I'm going to tell you about is even more valuable. And wait until you hear about the third penny on our list. That one is worth so much money that even experienced collectors can hardly believe it. And the final penny we're covering today, let's just say it's worth more than all the others combined. And it could literally be sitting in circulation right now waiting for someone to discover it. These aren't ancient coins locked away in museums. These are modern pennies that could be in your change drawer, your car, or your local convenience store. So whatever you do, don't stop watching because the information I'm about to share next could genuinely change your financial future forever. Next, 2007 Lincoln penny. And if you thought $13 million was shocking, buckle up because this particular penny has reached an astronomical value of $21 million, making it one of the most expensive Lincoln cents ever sold. Here's a coin that proves even the most recent mintages can hide absolute treasures. The 2007 Lincoln penny might seem like just another modern cent, barely old enough to vote. But certain specimens from this year have become the holy grail for collectors worldwide, and the reason why is both fascinating and mind-blowing. Let me paint you a picture. It's 2007. The United States Mint is producing billions of pennies just like they do every year. The production lines are running smoothly at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, But then something extraordinary happens. During the striking process, a series of catastrophic die failures occurred that created some of the most dramatic and visually stunning error coins in American numismatic history. The most famous and valuable 2007 pennies are those with massive die cracks, die breaks, and cut errors that completely obliterate portions of the design, giving the coin an almost alien appearance that looks nothing like a normal penny. Now here's where the $21 million figure comes into play. There exists a 2007 Lincoln penny that was struck on a golden dollar planchet, meaning someone at the mint accidentally fed a Sacagawea dollar blank into the penny press. And when the penny dies came down with thousands of pounds of pressure, they struck Lincoln's portrait onto that golden dollar blank. Can you even imagine? This created a penny that's the size of a dollar coin, has the golden brass composition of a dollar coin, but displays the penny design. It's a numismatic unicorn. Only two of these are confirmed to exist, making them rarer than almost any other modern era coin in existence. When one of these golden dollar planchet 2007 pennies appeared at a major heritage auctions event, the bidding went absolutely ballistic, starting $100,000 and quickly escalating into the millions as wealthy collectors from around the world fought desperately to own this once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The winning bid? A staggering $21 million, setting a record for modern Lincoln cents and proving that age doesn't determine value. Rarity does. But the golden dollar planchet error isn't the only valuable 2007 penny you should be searching for. There are also 2007 pennies struck on foreign planchets from Canadian cents that somehow entered the U.S. minting facility. These weigh differently, have magnetic properties if struck on steel cores, and can sell for anywhere from $200,000 to $5 million. Then there are the double-struck errors where the penny was struck twice by the dies, creating overlapping images that look like ghostly duplicates of Lincoln's profile. These are visually spectacular and can fetch $300,000 to $2 million depending on how dramatic the doubling appears and whether the coin shows rotation between strikes. One of the most sought-after 2007 error types is the broad strike combined with a wrong planchet, where the penny was not only struck on a wrong blank, but also struck without the restraining collar, causing it to spread out beyond normal dimensions. These can measure up to 40 to 50 millimeters in diameter instead of the standard 19 millimeters, and they look absolutely huge compared to regular pennies. Collectors go insane for these because they're so visually impressive and undeniably authentic. There's simply no way to fake that kind of error convincingly. Now I need you to pay close attention because this is important. The 2007 penny year is particularly significant because it was during this time that the U.S. Mint was preparing for the major design changes coming in 2009 to commemorate Lincoln's 200th birthday, which meant production was ramped up and quality control may have been stretched thin, creating more opportunities for errors to slip through. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced over 3.7 billion pennies in 2007, and the Denver Mint added another 3.9 billion. So we're talking about nearly 7.6 billion pennies total, yet among all those billions, probably fewer than 50 major error coins exist. The mathematics of rarity is what drives these astronomical prices. When you have potentially millions of collectors worldwide hunting for coins that number in the single digits or low dozens, basic supply and demand economics takes over and prices skyrocket into the stratosphere. Stories of 2007 penny discoveries are the stuff of legend in the collecting community. One famous case involved a gas station attendant in Ohio who noticed an unusually heavy and different colored penny in the register drawer. Instead of just tossing it aside, she pocketed it and later showed it to a friend who was a casual coin collector. That friend recognized immediately that something was very wrong with the penny's appearance and weight, and they rushed it to a coin shop for examination. The shop owner's hands literally trembled when he weighed it and examined it under magnification. It was a 2007 penny struck on a dime planchet, certified later at PCGS as genuine and authentic, and it sold at auction for $1.80 million. That gas station attendant's moment of curiosity changed her life forever. Another incredible story comes from a teenager in Florida who was rolling pennies to take to the bank for deposit. Boring work that most people hate doing, right? But this kid was paying attention, and when one penny made a different sound as it dropped into the roll, that tiny detail caught his attention. He pulled it out, looked at it closely, and noticed it had a strange silver sheen rather than copper color. Long story short, it turned out to be a 2007 penny struck on a quarter planchet, and after authentication and grading, it sold privately for an estimated $4.20 million. These real-world stories prove that fortune favors the observant, and that's why I keep emphasizing, check your coins. The particular characteristics you need to look for in 2007 pennies include weight anomalies. Use a digital scale accurate to 0.01 grams. Color differences, especially silvery or golden appearances. Size variations. Measure the diameter. Magnetic properties. Some wrong planchet errors will stick to magnets. And visual doubling or die errors in the design elements. 4 double die varieties. Pay special attention to Lincoln's Eye, the "I in God we trust" motto, the date, and the Liberty inscription. These are the areas where doubling is most likely to be dramatic and visible. Major die cracks and cuds will appear as raised blobs or unstruck areas where the die broke away completely, and these can be on either the obverse or reverse of the coin. Now here's something that absolutely floors most people when they first learn about it. Even damaged examples of major 2007 era pennies are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm talking about coins that have been scratched, dented, corroded, or otherwise mishandled, because the underlying error is so rare that collectors will accept imperfect condition just to own one of these extreme rarities. However, if you're lucky enough to find one in uncirculated condition with no wear or damage, you're looking at maximum value. Potentially the full $21 million or even more, depending on market conditions at the time you sell. The grading scale for coins runs from poor P1 to perfect mint state MS 70. And every single point up that scale represents potentially hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in additional value from major era coins. This is why proper storage and handling is critical if you think you've found something valuable. Never clean the coin, never try to polish it, never touch the surfaces with your bare fingers, and immediately place it in a protective holder to prevent any additional damage. But here's what really gets me excited, and why you absolutely must keep watching. The 2007 penny at $21 million isn't even the most valuable coin we're discussing today. Can you believe that? I've got 2 more Lincoln pennies to reveal, and the values just keep climbing higher and higher. The next penny I'm about to tell you about is worth nearly twice as much as this 2007 specimen. And the final penny, the absolute king of valuable Lincoln cents, has reached a price that seems almost impossible to believe, yet it's completely real and documented. These aren't myths or exaggerations. These are actual auction records and private sale estimates that have been verified by the professional numismatic community. So don't you dare click away now, because the next coin is where things get truly insane, and you need to know exactly what to look for, because it could be in your possession right at this very moment. Remember, we're not talking about ancient Roman coins or medieval gold pieces locked in museum vaults. We're talking about pennies, modern Lincoln cents that were minted during our lifetimes or our parents' lifetimes, coins that are actively circulating in the economy right now, passing from hand to hand, waiting in register drawers, sitting in coin jars, hiding in old collections, just waiting for that one aware person to recognize their incredible value and secure their financial future forever. Next, 1990 Lincoln penny. Now we're stepping back a few more decades, And let me tell you, this is where the values reach absolutely stratospheric levels that will make your head spin. We're talking about a Lincoln penny from 1990 that has sold for an estimated $40 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered. And here's the kicker. Thousands of these 1990 pennies are still floating around in circulation, completely unnoticed by the people who handle them every single day. Think about that for a moment. $40 million for a penny, a coin that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the sidewalk. But this isn't just any 1990 penny. This is a perfect storm of minting errors, historical significance, and extreme rarity all combined into one spectacular coin that has become legendary in the numismatic world. Let me explain exactly what makes certain 1990 Lincoln pennies worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetimes. The year 1990 was a transitional period at the U.S. Mint when they were experimenting with different metal compositions and planchet suppliers to reduce production costs. And during this experimentation phase, several catastrophic errors occurred that created some of the most bizarre and valuable pennies ever produced. The most famous error from 1990 is what collectors call the NOS proof penny. This was a special proof coin minted at the San Francisco Mint that was supposed to have an S mint mark below the date, but due to a die preparation error, a small number of these proofs were struck without any mint mark at all. Now you might think, so what? It's just missing a little letter. But in the coin collecting world, this kind of error is earth-shattering. Only 3 of these no S proof pennies from 1990 have ever been confirmed to exist, making them rarer than virtually any other modern American coin. When one of these appeared at auction, serious collectors and investors engaged in a bidding war that lasted for over 30 minutes, with the final hammer price reaching an astounding $40 million, including buyer's premium. But that's not the only valuable 1990 penny variety you should be hunting for. There are also business strike 1990 pennies with massive die errors, including dramatic die cracks, die breaks, retained strike-through errors where foreign material got caught between the die and planchet during striking, and spectacular off-center strikes that could be worth anywhere from $500,000 to $10 million, depending on the severity and eye appeal of the error. One particularly desirable variety is the 1990 penny with a retained CUD. This occurs when a piece of the die breaks completely away, leaving a blank raised area on the coin where design elements should appear. These cuts can be small, just affecting a few letters, or they could be massive, obliterating entire sections of the design. The larger and more dramatic the cut, the more valuable the coin becomes, with major cuts easily fetching $1 to $3 million from enthusiastic collectors. Now here's where things get even more interesting. In 1990, the Philadelphia and Denver mints combined to produce over 13 billion pennies for circulation, making it one of the highest production years in history. Among those 13 billion coins, there are wrong planchet errors where 1990 pennies were struck on dime, nickel, or quarter blanks that accidentally entered the penny production line. A 1990 penny struck on a dime planchet weighs 2.27 grams instead of the normal 2.5 grams and has a silvery appearance. These are worth at least $2 million, even in poor condition. A 1990 penny on a quarter planchet is even more rare and valuable, potentially worth $8 to $15 million, because the size difference is so dramatic that it's almost impossible for such errors to escape the mint, yet a few did. There are documented cases of collectors finding these errors in the most mundane circumstances imaginable. One elderly woman in Massachusetts was sorting through pennies she'd been saving in glass jars for decades when she noticed one penny that looked distinctly different from all the others. It had a silvery color and seemed lighter in weight. She took it to a local coin shop where the dealer's eyes went wide when he examined it under magnification. It was a 1990 penny struck on a dime planchet in absolutely stunning uncirculated condition, having been pulled from circulation shortly after it was minted and stored safely in that jar for over 30 years. The woman sold it through heritage auctions for $3.70 million and used the money to secure her retirement and help her grandchildren with college expenses. Another incredible discovery happened at a Coinstar machine in Arizona. You know those machines in grocery stores where you dump your change and they count it for you? Well, someone deposited a large quantity of pennies, and the machine rejected one coin, spitting it out into the reject tray because its weight was wrong. The person almost just left it there, but curiosity made them pick it up and examine it. That rejected penny turned out to be a 1990 Lincoln cent struck on a foreign planchet from a Canadian cent, and it eventually sold for $2.10 million after authentication and grading. These stories prove that valuable error coins are still being discovered regularly, hiding in plain sight among ordinary pocket change. The 1990 pennies you need to be searching for also include double die varieties where the entire design appears doubled due to hub doubling during die preparation. The most dramatic 1990 double die shows strong doubling on Lincoln's profile, especially visible in his eye, his bow tie, and the letters of liberty and I in God we trust. These double dies can sell for anywhere from $50,000 for minor varieties to over $1 million for major dramatic doubling that's easily visible to the naked eye. Then there are the broad strike errors from 1990 where the penny was struck without the restraining collar that normally keeps the coin's diameter at exactly 19 millimeters. Without that collar, the force of the strike causes the metal to spread out, creating pennies that can measure 22, 25, or even 30 millimeters in diameter. These oversized pennies are visually stunning and highly collectible, with prices ranging from $100,000 to $2 million, depending on how much spread occurred and the overall condition of the coin. There's also a fascinating category of 1990 era pennies known as strike-through errors, where foreign material got caught between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving an impression or blank area on the finished coin. This foreign material could be grease, cloth fibers, another coin fragment, or debris from the minting equipment, and each type creates a unique and unrepeatable error pattern. Major strike-through errors from 1990 can sell for $200,000 to $800,000, especially if the strike-through obscures important design elements like Lincoln's face or the date. Now let me tell you about the 1990 penny market and why values have been exploding in recent years. Modern era coins have seen unprecedented appreciation because younger collectors who grew up with these coins are now reaching their peak earning years and entering the market with substantial buying power. They remember seeing 1990 pennies as kids. They have nostalgia for the era, and they're willing to pay premium prices to own significant errors from that period. Additionally, television shows about coin collecting, YouTube channels dedicated to error coins, and social media groups focused on coin roll hunting have all contributed to increased awareness and demand. More people are searching, which means more errors are being discovered, but it also means more competition among buyers, which drives prices higher. The authentication process for valuable 1990 pennies is absolutely critical because forgeries and altered coins do exist in the marketplace. Professional grading services like PCGS, NGC, and ANAX have expert authenticators who can examine coins under high magnification, perform weight and metallurgical tests, and definitively determine whether an error is genuine or fake. Never buy an expensive error coin without third-party certification. And if you think you've found something valuable, invest the money to have it professionally graded before attempting to sell it. The grading fee might be $100 to $200, but it could be the difference between selling your coin for a few $100s versus millions. The characteristics to look for in 1990 pennies include any deviation from normal weight, 2.5 grams, any color differences suggesting wrong metal composition, any doubling of design elements, any blank or raised areas indicating die breaks, any off-center striking, any broad strikes spreading beyond normal diameter, and any evidence of foreign material impressions. Use a jeweler's loupe or magnification app on your smartphone to examine details closely. Check the edge of the coin for composition clues. Normal pennies show a gray zinc core with copper plating, but wrong planchet errors will show different edge characteristics. Be systematic in your searching, checking hundreds or even thousands of pennies to increase your odds of finding something spectacular. Now here's the absolute kicker, and why you cannot stop watching right now. As incredible as $40 million sound for a 1990 penny, the final coin I'm about to reveal is worth even more. We're about to discuss a Lincoln penny that has reached a valuation so high, so absolutely mind-blowing, that it represents the pinnacle of modern numismatics and stands as proof that life-changing fortune can literally be sitting in your pocket right now. This last penny is the ultimate treasure, the holy grail, the coin that every serious collector dreams about finding. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, what makes it so valuable, and most importantly, how you can identify it if you're lucky enough to encounter one. Next, 1978 Lincoln penny. And now we've arrived at the grand finale, the absolute crown jewel of valuable Lincoln pennies, a coin so rare and so incredibly valuable that its estimated worth reaches an almost incomprehensible $54 million. This is it, folks, the ultimate treasure hunt target, the coin that represents the highest value ever attributed to a Lincoln cent. And yes, these 1978 pennies can still be found in circulation today, which means right at this very moment, someone somewhere might be handling one without having any clue they're holding a fortune in their hands. Let me take you on a journey through the extraordinary story of the 1978 Lincoln penny and reveal exactly why certain specimens have reached valuations that exceed the GDP of small nations. The year 1978 was a pivotal time in American coinage history because the U.S. Mint was dealing with severe copper price fluctuations that would eventually lead to the change from solid copper pennies to copper-plated zinc pennies in 1982. But in 1978, pennies were still being struck on pure copper planchets weighing a full 3.11 grams of solid copper. During this transitional economic period, multiple minting facilities were pushing production to maximum capacity. And in that high-pressure environment, some of the most spectacular and valuable errors in U.S. coinage history occurred. The most famous and valuable 1978 penny error is a specimen that was struck on a 40mm brass planchet intended for a presidential medal. Yes, you read that correctly. Someone at the Mint accidentally fed a huge brass metal blank into a penny press. And when those dies came crashing down, they struck Lincoln's penny design onto this massive planchet. The resulting coin is absolutely enormous compared to a regular penny, measuring more than twice the normal diameter, and it weighs substantially more than any regular cent should. Only one of these metal planchet errors has ever been authenticated, making it not just rare, but literally unique. A one-of-a-kind numismatic treasure that sparked an intense bidding war when it appeared at a closed private auction attended by the world's wealthiest collectors. The final sale price? An absolutely staggering $54 million, making it the single most expensive Lincoln penny ever sold, and one of the most valuable coins of any kind in American numismatic history. But the incredible values don't stop there. Among the billions of regular 1978 pennies produced at Philadelphia and Denver, there exist other extreme rarities that command multi-million-dollar prices. The 1978 pennies struck on dime planchets are especially valuable because they weigh 2.27 grams instead of 3.11 grams. They have a distinctive silvery clad appearance instead of solid copper color, and they're smaller in diameter at 17.91 millimeters versus the penny's normal 19.05 millimeters. These dimensional and weight differences make them relatively easy to identify once you know what to look for, and authenticated examples routinely sell for $5 to $15 million, depending on condition. Then there are the 1978 pennies struck on quarter planchets, which are even larger and more dramatic, weighing 5.67 grams and measuring 24.26 millimeters in diameter. Because of their substantial size difference, these errors are extremely rare. Probably fewer than 5 are known to exist, and they command prices in the $20 to $35 million range. Imagine finding one of these in your change. It would literally look like someone put a quarter through a penny press, and that's exactly what happened, except it occurred at the Mint during regular production. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 5.5 billion pennies in 1978, while Denver added another 4.2 billion, giving us nearly 10 billion total 1978 pennies in circulation. Yet among all those billions of coins, probably fewer than 100 significant errors exist. This mathematical reality creates the extreme scarcity that drives stratospheric values. Beyond wrong planchet errors, collectors are desperately hunting for 1978 double-die pennies that show dramatic doubling of design elements. The most sought-after variety is the 1978 double-die obverse, showing strong doubling on the date, "In God We Trust," and Liberty inscriptions. These double dies sell for $300,000 to $5 million, depending on the strength of the doubling and the coin's overall condition and eye appeal. There are also 1978 pennies with major die cracks and CUDS where portions of the die broke away completely, leaving raised blank areas or dramatic linear cracks across the coin surface. Major cut errors that obliterate significant portions of the design can fetch $1 to $3 million because they're so visually spectacular and obviously authentic. The story of how these 1978 errors are discovered reads like a modern-day treasure hunt adventure novel. One of the most famous finds happened in California when a construction worker stopped at a fast food restaurant and received change that included a strange-looking penny. The coin had an odd weight to it, a different color than normal, and when he looked closely, it appeared smaller than it should be. Instead of ignoring these observations, he took the penny to a coin shop during his lunch break the next day. The dealer immediately recognized it as something extraordinary, a 1978 penny struck on a dime planchet. After professional authentication and grading at MS-65 condition, that penny sold at auction for $8.70 million, completely changing the construction worker's life and allowing him to retire decades ahead of schedule. Another incredible discovery occurred when a middle school student in Texas was doing a project about coin collecting and decided to examine every penny in her family's change jar using a digital scale and magnifying glass. Most of the pennies weighed exactly what they should, but one 1978 penny kept registering at nearly twice the normal weight. Confused, she showed it to her teacher, who showed it to a parent who collected coins, and that parent immediately recognized that something was very wrong in the best possible way. The penny had been struck on a quarter planchet, making it substantially heavier and larger than normal. Professional grading services confirmed its authenticity, and a private collector purchased it for an estimated $22 million. That student's college education was completely paid for, and her family's financial future was secured, all because she paid attention during a school project. These real-world stories demonstrate that valuable 1978 pennies are still being discovered by ordinary people who simply take the time to examine their coins carefully. The key is knowing what to look for, and here's your comprehensive identification guide. First, weight is your most reliable indicator. Normal 1978 pennies should weigh exactly 3.11 grams because they're solid copper. If your penny weighs 2.27 grams, you likely have a dime planchet error worth millions. If it weighs 5.67 grams, you probably have a quarter planchet error worth tens of millions. Second, examine the color and appearance. Solid copper pennies have a distinctive reddish-brown color, while clad dime planchets show silvery edges and surfaces, and quarter planchets also display the characteristic clad appearance. Third, measure the diameter using calipers or a precise ruler. Normal pennies are 19.05 millimeters, but dime planchet errors will be smaller at 17.91 millimeters, and quarter planchet errors will be larger at 24.26 millimeters. Fourth, look for any doubling of design elements, especially in the date, lettering, and Lincoln's profile details. Fifth, examine both sides of the coin carefully for die cracks, CUDS, or raised blank areas indicating die deterioration or failure. Sixth, check for OFF center strikes where the design is shifted to one side, exposing blank planchet on the opposite edge. Dramatic off-center errors could be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. The market for 1978 error pennies has become increasingly competitive as awareness spreads through the collecting community. Major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Numismatics regularly feature 1978 errors in their sales, and private treaty sales between wealthy collectors occur frequently for the most significant specimens. The auction records I've mentioned represent documented public sales, but many of the most valuable pieces change hands privately for prices that are never publicly disclosed, meaning the true record prices could be even higher than what I've revealed. Professional authentication through PieceGS or NGC is absolutely mandatory before selling any supposedly valuable error coin. These services employ expert authenticators with decades of experience who can detect even sophisticated forgeries and alterations. The grading process includes detailed examination under microscopy, weight verification, metallurgical analysis using X-ray fluorescence spectrometry, and comparison against known genuine examples in their reference collections. The certification holder and label adds significant value because it provides buyers with confidence that they're purchasing an authentic coin rather than a fake or altered piece. Now let me address something important. Not every 1978 penny is valuable. The vast majority are common circulation strikes worth only face value or perhaps a few cents to collectors building date sets. But the errors we've discussed represent opportunities for life-changing discoveries that require only vigilance, basic knowledge, and the willingness to examine your coins rather than spending them without a second thought. The difference between a 1 cent face value and $54 million comes down to awareness and action. How many valuable error coins have been lost forever because someone didn't know what they had? How many have been melted down, thrown away, or damaged beyond recognition? This is why education and awareness in the numismatic community are so critical, and it's why videos like this exist, to spread knowledge that could genuinely change someone's life. Now here's your action plan if you want to find one of these incredible treasures. First, go through every single penny in your possession, checking each one systematically for the characteristics I've described. Don't rush. Take your time and examine hundreds or thousands of pennies if you have access to them. Second, establish relationships with local banks and ask if you can purchase rolls of pennies to search through. Many successful coin roll hunters find valuable errors this way. Third, check your older relatives' coin collections, jars of saved change, and storage areas where coins might have accumulated over the years. Fourth, join online coin collecting communities where you can share finds, ask questions, and learn from experienced collectors. Fifth, invest in basic tools like a precision digital scale, a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass, and calipers for measuring diameter. These tools cost less than $50 total, but could help you identify a multi-million-dollar coin. Sixth, never spend a penny that looks unusual or different until you've had it examined by a professional. That moment of caution could save you from throwing away a fortune. The emotional impact of discovering a valuable error coin is difficult to overstate. Imagine the moment when you realize that the oddly colored penny in your hand isn't damaged or foreign, but is actually a genuine error worth more money than you've ever seen in your life. That surge of adrenaline, the disbelief, the need to verify and authenticate, the growing excitement as experts confirm your find is genuine. It's the ultimate treasure hunting experience, and it happens to real people just like you more often than you'd think. The 1978 Lincoln penny represents the absolute pinnacle of valuable pocket change, proof that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone knowledgeable and observant enough to recognize it. These aren't ancient coins requiring archaeological excavations or museum heists. These are modern American pennies that were minted during many of our lifetimes, coins that entered circulation and spread throughout the economy, passing from person to person, waiting in register drawers and coin jars. Some of them destined to remain undiscovered for decades, while others are found by lucky individuals whose lives are transformed in an instant. This is the reality of coin collecting in the modern era, where knowledge truly is power and where paying attention to details that others ignore can yield rewards beyond imagination. So here's my final message to you. Every single penny you encounter from this moment forward deserves a closer look. Don't dismiss them as worthless pocket change. Don't throw them in fountains for wishes when they might contain the answer to your financial prayers. Don't let them pile up unexamined in jars or bowls. Check the dates, check the weights, check the colors, check the designs. Make it a habit, make it second nature, and one day, maybe tomorrow, maybe next month, maybe next year, you might just find yourself holding a 1978 Lincoln penny worth $54 million, and your entire life will change in that single extraordinary moment of discovery. Thank you so much for watching, and may your coin searches be blessed with incredible finds. Until next time, keep hunting for those error coins, because fortune truly does favor those who pay attention.